Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Insecure men exposed. The first one is they feel really emasculated by their pastors. Their pastors are very bossy, um, emotionally unavailable, and because these guys have the orphan spirit, they have father wounds. And some of these Jezebelic pastors love that because they get to boss around them and boss them around, tell them what to do, and the orphan spirit makes them feel small. They don't feel like Boaz, they feel like an Ahab. They feel powerless, they feel emasculated, they fear rejection, and they don't have power. They can't lead, and they feel very, very small. And because of that, they are moody, they're insecure, they can't lead. And it's so important not to take it personally when, they try to tear you down with them because they feel small within themselves. So some of their fathers weren't emotionally available. So they pour that into people, that hatred, that bossy behavior. And some guys in ministry, they don't go to healing, counseling and stuff like that. They focus on ministry school, courses and studying, but they don't heal from the father wounds. So sometimes it's like blind leading the blind, and so they end up like hurting people in the process when they're in ministry, and they say stuff like, oh, you need a spiritual covering, you need a spiritual father, but at the same time they haven't healed from the father wounds. Their father was bossy. Their father was so bossy, he was so arrogant, he's so full of himself, and it's important not to take it personally. The second one is the humbling tactics. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get a girl that's not in ministry because these ministry girls, they're doing too much. But he's insecure. He doesn't know his identity. He's being controlled by his pastor. He doesn't know who he is. He's a little boy, and he feels very, very emasculated by his pastor. He don't know who he is. And some women in ministry, they know who they are. They're operating in purpose. They're operating the fruits of the spirit and self-esteem. They built up their pain and their titles, and they put it together, and it's a hot mess. And they are walking in fear. They don't know who they are, and this is just from pain. They want approval. They didn't want to do it. They didn't. Some of them don't want to be in ministry. They feel like they're doing it so they can feel a sense of belonging. Some guys don't even like being in ministry. Some people aren't even called to ministry, but they feel like if I do ministry, I'm gonna be seen. The orphan spirit is gonna be lifted off. But what they don't understand is that they feel small and they want to feel seen, and they try humble girls and say, oh yeah, if you want to be like, if you want to be a homemaker, he'll say, oh, I want a boss babe. If you're a boss babe, you're doing your thing in ministry or in purpose in your workplace, you'll be like, oh, I need a girl that's a homemaker. Everything's the opposite. Like, he would try to tear you down, and he tried to say, you know what, I'm going to humble this girl. I'm going to humble this girl. I'm going to get somebody that's different to her. I'm going to get a girl that's like, so if you are in ministry, if you're in purpose, if you're a boss babe, oh, I'm going to get a girl in the world, and they go into rebellion. Some of them even go in rebellion because their pastor is talking to them about like trash, and they feel emasculated. They feel like, oh, how comes the pastor don't have to have the fruits of the spirit? How comes the pastor doesn't have to have the fruit of the spirit? And I have to be bossed around by him. But so they try to get revenge by getting a girl in the world and get a Whirlian girl to humble the girls in the church. But what he's operating is rebellion. He's being prideful. He's being rebellious because he doesn't understand how to process his emotion. Doesn't understand that the pastor is operating in the Jezebel spirit, and he feels powerless. He feels emasculated because he's worshipping the pastor. He idolizes the pastor. He doesn't put God first. If he put God first, he'd be able to say that, you know what, this pastor has father wounds. This pastor has mother wounds, and he takes it personally. He takes it personally because he's insecure. He's weak. And so when they see a woman in ministry, they're, oh, I need to humble her. I need to show her that I'm going to get a girl from the world and put her in her place because she knows who she is. She knows her purpose on the earth. And they're being controlled by their pastor. They're not even been led by the Holy Spirit. They're being led by Jezebel. Jezebel says, do this, do that. You're going to do this. You're going to stay in your lane. Don't go out the box. And they feel powerless. And they want to drag women down with them. The third one is they have a critical spirit. They're very, very critical in the pulpit. I know some girls are like, oh, he has to be a pastor. I want to be a first lady. But what they don't understand is that titles don't mean nothing. You know, he could be on the pulpit. He's miserable. He's moody. He's very moody. He's miserable on the pulpit. He's throwing shade at people that are powerful because he feels small. And what women don't understand, that titles don't mean nothing if he has bad character, if he's insecure, because it doesn't mean anything because he's insecure, he's weak, he's so desperate for approval, and he had the orphan spirit. He has the orphan spirit. He's on a pulpit. Yes, he has a mic, but he's very, very insecure. He's weak. He's prideful. He's arrogant. He's rude. He has no respect, and some women are like, oh, he has to be pastor, he has to be in ministry, but some of these pastors are emasculated. They're being controlled. They have to go through intimidation, manipulation, and they don't feel powerful. So it's like, he's on the pulpit, yes, he has the mic, but that's not enough. Like, having a title is not enough. He's emasculated by his pastor. He has father wounds he hasn't dealt with. He has mother wounds he hasn't dealt with, and he has all these trauma that he hasn't dealt with. And he's miserable. He feels powerless, and he tried to take out his anger through the mic instead of actually getting healing. Our next one is jealousy, sabotage, and bad advice. Sometimes, when a guy is jealous, when he's misogynist, when a woman's going through spiritual warfare, he can make it worse because he'll say, "Oh, you're just attention seeker," and it's even worse if it even gets worse because he probably wants her power. He wants what she has, and sometimes he's envious because some women are like, they have influence, they have a voice, and sometimes they're like, I don't want her to have a voice. I want her to not be healed, because if a woman heals, if a woman realizes spirit of rejection or witchcraft attacks, she starts understanding it's her mother wounds, it's her father wounds. When a woman starts healing, when she starts to realize what the pain is coming from, she can heal. So a guy can say to her, you know what, you are a attention seeking brat, and this can make the woman feel like irritated, going rebellion, upset, re-traumatized, and then she won't know who she is because she could run away and be so hurt, and she objectify herself online. She might post stuff online, and she might just wear her pain because he invalidated her pain, and it's not making her be healed. So he tries to hinder her growth by saying, oh, he's a attention seeker, because he's a coward too. He's a coward. He doesn't want to heal. He's a coward, and he's emasculated by his pastor. He feels unheard. He feels unseen by people, and he goes, I'm gonna do the same thing to you. You are an attention seeking brat, and you have enough to feel sorry about. And it's like he tries to make her more angry and provoke her, but what he's doing is he is trying to get revenge because he doesn't feel seen too. He feels objectified too. So it's important to know that some guys are bitter. They want you to see yourself as a attention seeker instead of actually healing and realizing, you know what, you were bullied, you were traumatized, and that sexual abuse shouldn't happen to you, and the spiritual abuse shouldn't happen to you. And it's like you get to heal from that. Say that was wrong. You just needed that person to say that was wrong, but because they weren't validated and they were emasculated by their pastors and leaders, and what they're basically saying that you are going to go through it too. Like, you're going to go through it as well.